I have been thrust into a world much bigger than myself. After fighting Wukong in the lands of Cabalus, he placed a curse upon me, shrinking me down to the size of a grasshopper. Welcome to Smalland. I now have 100 days to cure the queen and find a way to get back to my regular self. There is one small problem. I can remember nothing from my previous life and will have to learn everything from scratch. My quest began as I regained consciousness, looking completely different to my previous life.
Why do I have antenna?
Gaining my bearings, I have to find someone who can point me in the right direction. I began to make my way up through the tunnels, collecting resin from the walls, emerging into the sunlight to reveal a massive new world for the very first time. I had a chat to Sentinel Oliver, who told me I should introduce myself to Captain Herney. So I headed down the hill, collecting the sprouts for fiber as well as the blackberries on the table, and chatting to Herney, he offered to make me some armor if I brought him the supplies. He also told me to go find the elder who might be able to offer their wisdom in my quest. I first collected some twigs for wood when I spotted butterflies nearby.
Those are some huge butterflies. They're like the size of tapiharas.
Grabbed more resin, sprouts and twigs, then entered the elder's
Hello,
home.
Mr. Elder. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. How's it going, Dad?
He was a frail, old-looking man who told me how the jeweled clover key had gone missing. This key would unlock the apothecary chest, which I hoped might contain a recipe to bring me back to regular size. The elder had another issue. He told me how the overland settlers have been experiencing agitated and aggressive creatures, so I agreed to go seek them out and hear them out. I did find the walnut chest the elder had mentioned in the back of the hut, and once I left the elder, I expected this to be a rather perilous journey. So I asked Captain Herney to make me some new gloves and pants, and there were some large mushrooms, though I guess they're just regular sized mushrooms, that I cut down and kept for food. I spotted what looked to be a decent vantage point before parkouring up the mushrooms, and wow, the world is gorgeous from the size. Making my way down the tree when I got ambushed by some ants and had to make a break for it.
Run! Giant ants! Dad! And I thought Titan manure were bad.
I would have to learn to fight if I was going to survive this new adventure, so I turned on the two ants who had followed me and killed them with my club. I was going to need a place to recover, so I headed back to the vantage point where I set up a small 2x2 shelter. But night fell, so crafted a workbench, campfire, bed, and a simple chest before hopping into bed and sleeping for the night. I cooked some mushroom steaks as the sky darkened into a storm, and the mushrooms came out pretty tasty, so chopped down some more stalks, as well as spent some time grabbing more resin, fiber, and wood, only to see a ladybug. The one soldier had mentioned how good bugs taste, so...
Hello, little ladybug. Time for you to perish.
Yeah, it outran me. I had to fight off some more ants, and since I couldn't eat the ladybugs, ants should suffice. Cooked their heads into skewers, and this was much tastier than the mushroom. Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. I still had to be careful as they could swarm me and kill me. I crafted myself a simple bow but needed more wood for arrows and a sword, so went out gathering for the remainder of the day. Crafted my sword and now I was ready to go hunt these ants. As I continued walking on, I spotted a grasshopper. I'm glad you're friendly.
Whoa,
I wonder if I could
that's a
still tame
big
things in this small
grasshopper.
world. But first, I chose to kill it. I also sliced the ladybug in half for its meat when a group of ants started shredding me. I managed to fend them off, but I was severely injured, so headed home where I crafted up some bandages before heading to bed. In the morning, I was climbing up this long vine where I found a bunch of foods on leaves, only to realize these were actually offerings for an owl god of sorts. Whoops, mine now. I fought and killed another grasshopper before jumping across the stream, and there was a key on the shores as well as some screws that I collected, since I'm sure these could be useful later on. Now, in order to have a safe, reliable way to cross the water, I made up a basic bridge. Sorry ants, this is my bridge. I wanted to make myself a crude hatchet, but for that I needed chitin, so went out in search of something bigger to kill when I spotted a lonely wasp. This could work. Pulled out my bow and shot it with an arrow.
Bippity boppity boopity.
The fight was deadly as the wasp poison bit into me, but I managed to kill it, giving me some chitin, a lymph, and its stinger. I had to bandage myself up in order to heal when I saw a massive beetle who I began to snipe with my bow.
All right, you're playing the bug game.
Ah! It can climb up the hill. That's not okay. I did not agree to this. Ah! Why can it climb up the hill? I didn't mean it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's running away. Attack.
Sneak attack. I'm sorry.
I didn't mean it. I did not give it permission to do that.
He did not ask for permission. He didn't give a fuck.
I managed to kill it, giving me some more chitin when I ran out of arrows as I was trying to kill a bull ant. My sword finished it off, and I wanted to see what tools I could make, so made my way home only to have a group of ants follow me who I had to fight.
It's a little annoying how much it changes. They followed me home. No, this is not my house. I built that in
my
like
property.
2 minutes. I put so much time into that. No.
I repaired up all my tools and made myself a mandibular pickaxe out of the bull ant's tooth I had collected, then headed to bed to finish off the day. Waking up on day 5, I fought off more ants that were on the beach, getting pretty good at this. Then using my pick was able to break up the stones into little chunks, as well as picked up a bottle cap that had washed ashore. There was another section I had to build a bridge in order to cross, only for another beetle to catch me off guard and start to chase me.
That's a giant beetle. Run.
I spotted some bees and thought these might give some useful resources, so shot my bow only to anger the entire swarm to begin chasing me.
I fucked up.
How badly?
I attacked the bee and now its whole hive is coming for me.
Sounds like you fucked up.
They fortunately left me alone, so I just made my way home in order to craft more arrows and bandages. There was another wasp where I had killed the first one, but this one was much tougher, almost killing me, but I managed to knock it out of the sky. I even got a poison gland from it. This could help me make some poisoned weapons. However, with the sun setting, I did not want to be out in the dark and made my way home to rest until morning. I made myself a crude hatchet using the chitin I had collected, then used that hatchet to chop down a mauve plant. I also came across some strawberry plants I chopped down, and continuing on, this place seems scary. I'm going to need some better equipment since my puny axe can't even damage this sapling. I set up a stone cutter at my house since I could use this to make some better equipment once I get the resources. I even chopped up some poisonous mushrooms while out gathering more resources. Though this bull ant didn't like that, so I had to kill him and his friend. I cut down some rice stalks which gave me more fiber and seeds, then ran home since it was starting to get dark. I did once home expand my house a bit so I could store more junk, and I even set up a small table and chairs before falling into a deep slumber. I was fighting a bull ant on day 7 when suddenly a second one showed up. Yeah,
Nope.
I am going to need to get better at fighting.
Nope. Don't touch me. I do not consent.
Spending a good chunk of time fighting ants and even almost dying. Then as I was continuing to explore, a swarm of bees saw me and began trying to kill me. I managed to escape by getting them interested in some ants, and I was able to just finish them off. I then stumbled upon one of the small people's camps. This was a mineshaft's field hospital. The Corporal Kalev told me how they had been driven out of the mines by some ants and offered to make me stone armor if I brought him the supplies. So I mined up a bunch of rocks that were around only to get swarmed by ants. My sword had broken and my bow was almost broken as well. I barely survived but managed to kill off the final ant. I had to get home and fast. So sprinted down dodging every fight, using my torch to light the way. I did have to axe one ant but got home where I just headed to bed. Repairing all my equipment on day 8, I spent some time harvesting more resources, fighting off the ants and collecting more resources. I ground up some of my seeds to make seed oil so I could make refined wood, before cooking up more ant heads into skewers and setting off. I hacked down a bunch of rye plants for their seeds, only for Sawyer Beetle to try to chase me off, so I had to kill it in order to continue chopping. The sun quickly clouded over as a storm rolled in, so I had to head home torch in hand to sleep through the night. Grinding up all my seeds in the morning for oil to make refined wood, I set up a cauldron and saw I could make a grasshopper treat. I did need more seed oil, so headed out and mined some stones, watched an ant fight a grasshopper, and fought off some ants that were attacking me. I needed some better armor, so harvested up a ton of sprouts for their fiber, and got Captain Herney to make me some better clothes. I found and cut down some more rye plants since they gave a ton of seeds and fiber. Then at home grabbed all the ingredients I needed to cook myself my first ever grasshopper treat. I also made myself a grasshopper scythe using a leg I had gotten, and it was pretty speedy at attacking but still didn't feel like enough damage, so headed to bed. And it was day 10 as I was fighting a bunch of ants with my scythe, improving my combat skills and just increasing my food stores. Then I spotted a grasshopper. Since I now had a treat, I beat it to half health like a Pokemon and fed it a treat. I tamed a grasshopper! I'm gonna name you Jiminy. Jiminy Grasshopper. Riding out on Jiminy Grasshopper, I was able to jump across streams and travel farther than I ever had before, making it all the way to a camp on the outskirts of town. I got Jiminy to wait nearby while I had a chat to Scotty. They were a hunter and let me know of a Rhino Beetle that had become incredibly aggressive, and I figured I'd help, so I agreed to slay the beetle and bring back the horn for investigation. It seemed so far away on the beach, while in reality it was maybe 4 or 5 meters. When you're the size of a can of soda, 5 meters is like 5 kilometers. So I started to adventure over, only for a sawyer beetle to slow me down, so I had to escape. I threw down a workbench where I made a bunch of bandages and finished off the sawyer beetle, and that's when some bees got mad and tried to kill me, but with the new armor I was able to kill them off, and I snuck down to the beach where I saw some new rocks that I was able to mine, and this was for flint. Got back to the camp where I did have to fight some dawn ants that had followed me back, and Scotty wasn't much help, but I killed them off without much problem, set up a covered tent and headed to bed. In the morning began to run on Jiminy all the way home, but taking a bunch of damage along the way. So left Jiminy in what I thought was a safe spot while I ran the rest of the way home when the game told me he had been released. Goodbye Jiminy, I'll miss you buddy. I hadn't collected enough flint to make any weapons, so I will have to head back to that beach for more. I used the supplies I did have to make myself a stone hammer, which will hopefully be able to crack through those beetles' shells. Repaired all my equipment and spent the rest of the day harvesting sprouts for fiber, then killing ants for meat. I set up a campfire next to the owl shrine where I just took a moment to admire the beauty of this large new world. I used my stone hammer to kill a grasshopper. It was pretty effective, and this made me realize that the different bugs in this world have different weaknesses and resistances. So I'll need to master a variety of weapon types to be as prepared as I can be. And as night fell, I was ambushed. Oh, what the f*** you? Oh my,
Go touch it. Go touch it, Dad. Go touch it.
It's touching me. It's a nocturnal grasshopper. Why do you attack me? Grasshoppers are friendly. After killing that hopper, I was making my way home when I saw that a storm was approaching. Now I have to get home. Thankfully, wasn't too far and was able to just sleep through the night. As I ran through the plains searching for supplies, I did find some poppies I chopped down to collect their nectar. This could be used to tame the ladybugs, so gathered as much as I could carry. When I was on my way back, I saw a huge tree, grander than any other. There was a gnome who spoke about claiming it, so climbed all the way to the top, parkouring and building my way up in order to get to the very top. A gnome allowed me to claim the tree as my own, so I did and started to set up the foundations for a house so that I may choose to live in, since my current place was pretty far away. This one even came with a gnome butler I was able to use to get down. But I never realized how long it took to climb that tree as night quickly caught up to me. So I went back up the tree with my butler where I set up a bed and slept through the night. And it was on day 13 when I made my way back to the beach where I had gotten the flint earlier on since I would need a lot more. Killing a few water bugs who were in my way as I began to swing my pick. And with the rock destroyed, I looked up towards the next one and spotted a leopard gecko. There's a leopard gecko hanging out in the distance. He was so cute. He was so beautiful. So walking towards him to get a closer look. A gecko. Definitely aggressive. That's a big tongue. Run away. Run away. Run away.
Run away!
Oh, it hurts so much. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It wants to eat me, Crow.
Well, you are a little bit of a snack. We're not gonna fucking lie.
Go away, gecko. I don't want to be eaten today. Yeah, you better run so I can hit you with my bow from a distance.
Okay.
Oh, he's coming back. Run. Come back here. I finally managed to kill it and save myself. I guess when you're so small, the geckos see you as food. I spent a good chunk of time hacking up the flint nodes, completely breaking my pick in the process, so with all the flint began to hike up the mountain towards home. Traversing across logs, dodging ants and jumping up mushrooms to finally get to my humble abode and sleep for the night. In order to make the flint tools, I grabbed all the refined wood I could and made myself a flint sword and flint hatchet, so I could now chop both trees and enemies with more efficiency. It was a much needed upgrade. In fact, I was even able to kill my first dragonfly. I did have an idea to tame one if I could figure out what treats it likes. I mean, a giant dragonfly was pretty useful when Pecon was still around in Primal Fear. So with all the seeds I collected, I crushed them into seed oil for refined wood to make a flint pickaxe and shears. The pickaxe would allow me to mine that bark I had found, and the shears can be used to harvest spider cocoons if I find them. But I am terrified to run into any spiders, so we will see how that goes. Using my new hatchet, I was able to harvest some saplings that I couldn't before, as well as fought off a swarm of ants with my sword. These saplings were a great source of wood, so investment on this axe, well spent. I did have to use a torch for light though since it got pretty dark, so I headed home for the night. And I made myself a flint spear in the morning since the piercing damage could be helpful, and set up some more storage chests for that extra junk space, and cooking up more ant heads for food in preparation of my adventure. I felt ready to take on that Rhino Beetle. So I began to run through the hills towards Scotty's camp, killing all the ants along the way. I got to the beach when a bee swarm spotted me and attacked. I had to use bandages to desperately heal before bringing them down with my sword. I got down to the beach and could see the Rhino Beetle in the distance. This may end up being tougher than I expect, but I've fought giggers before. How bad could a beetle be, and charged into battle. We were squaring each other off, only for it to body slam in front of me. When it does that slam, I could use it as an opportunity. I just had to keep dodging for now. It managed to hit me, so I had to run back to bandage up just in time before diving out of the way of its charge. It was a long fight. Slam, dodge, when a gecko came in from the sidelines, mad at the beetle to attack it. But the beetle charged straight through. Then with one final slam that I dodged, was able to kill the beetle. Ooh. First boss fight down with 5 health left. Ooh.
Got it by the skin of his teeth.
I picked up the horn. I will need to get this to Scotty. I did first have to battle a green beetle blocking my way, but since I had a hammer, it took increased damage as I crushed its skull. Got to the camp where I was able to give the horn to Scotty, and she told me that this Rhino Beetle was originally from the swamp. She suggested I chat to Lysandra, who has studied the swamp her whole life. Scotty also taught me how to make a gecko treat, and I was going to travel home, but with how dark it is, I simply set up a small 1x1 to sleep through the night. I had to run all the way home on day 16. This Jiminy. I'll need to get a new grasshopper or maybe even a gecko, since I just needed some more seed oil to make the treat. I wanted to harvest some bark since I'd missed that while at the beach, so I was making my way down towards the beach, sliding down the rocks and running along. Eventually getting to the bits of wood I was able to hack up with my pick, but this beetle was not happy with me, so I had to put him down. I didn't realize how late it was though, as night quickly fell, and I needed to sleep as I did not want to travel home in the dark, so set up a small shelter with a bed before sleeping to end of the day. I had to deal with another green beetle which almost killed me. I really need to get better armor, and soon. So I killed some more bees and a dragonfly, as though I thought I might be able to find someone to make me a wingsuit. I once got home, I made myself a gecko treat since I thought taming one could be a really powerful companion. Then headed off towards the beach as that was where I had seen them most common. Only problem is a storm rolled in, blackening out the sky. causing the nocturnal dawn ants to come out of sleep and attack me. I managed to make it to Scotty's camp where I set up one of my 1x1 huts, but just before I did kill some moths flying around nearby, only for a sawyer beetle to come out of nowhere, knocking me to the brink of death. Crawling my way back to Scotty's camp, I ate some ant skewers to recover my health, before cutting down 2 moth plants to get the fiber I needed for my bed, and slept through the night. Arriving on the beach in the morning, there was a new gecko who had taken residence, so I began to whack it with my sword, bringing down its health to feed it my treat.
It's my friend. I got a gecko.
I'm gonna name you Gary. Gary the gecko. Gary and I began to roam towards the swamp as I wanted to go chat to Lysandra, but we got stopped in our tracks as a wasp ambushed us. Gary took some bites of it, but he got a bit hurt. I'll have to try protect Gary more when a second wasp showed up. We killed it off together and then continued forward, only to walk straight into a wolf spider.
That's a spider. That's a spider. Get him, gecko. Get him.
I jumped off Gary to fight the spider, except that made Gary attack it.
Wolf spider.
No! You kicked my gecko, you bastard!
Oh! Not the gecko!
I tried to run in as the wolf spider killed Gary. Rest in peace, Gary. I took some time to heal up as the spider's poison was deadly, but I had to charge in and take out the spider.
Get wrecked. Stupid spider.
Sorry, Gary. I'll miss you. I set up a campfire to cook up some food, as without Gary, I was going to need more healing, and slid down into the swamp. There were spiders everywhere. I knew I couldn't take on multiple at once, so I would have to be tactical. Also wanted to get the spider silk to make a better bow.
That spotted me. Fantastic.
Oh, there's 2 of them. Oh. I desperately had to run and sprinted across this plank, losing one of the spiders, but I was backed into a corner and had to fight. Dodging and rolling, managing to kill the spider, I took the opportunity to harvest a nearby spider cocoon, keeping my eyes fully open, looking out for any more spiders, when one spotted me. Its poison was so incredibly deadly, and I was out of bandages. So I set up a workbench to fasten my fibers into bandages, as well as repair my equipment, but the noises attracted yet another spider. This one almost killing me, so cut down the saplings for fibers to make more bandages, and set up one of my shelters to sleep and rest. I was about to snipe a spider in the morning when I got snuck up on by another one. I was starting to get better at fighting these, but the poison still hurt incredibly badly. So I decided to just avoid as many spiders as I could, running up a log into the trees towards Lysandra's camp. There was only one problem. She was surrounded by spiders. I was going to have to be careful. Then snuck my way through and was able to chat to her. She had a baby spider in her hands and let me know that the ones nearby were friendly jumping spiders, but I was still freaked out. She also told me of a giant albino spider that was highly aggressive had been spotted near the swamps. I let her know I would handle it. No idea why. It was just kind of forced on me by some strange out of this world being. Lysandra also taught me a recipe to make some anti-poison, which should prove useful versus the giant spider. I can only hope at least. I was still hesitant of the jumping spiders, but she was right. They were friendly, or at least they didn't try to immediately eat me. So I made my way out of her domain and was going to start heading home to prepare for this giant spider, only to get stopped in my tracks when I saw it. A massive black widow spider. I think I'll go in the other direction. I did first set up a small hut as an outpost here in the swamp to spend the night, and on my travels homewards on day 20, it started to feel very nippy in the air as winter had arrived and begun to settle in, snowing over all that I could see. Thankfully, my padded shirt was pretty warm, so I was able to get home with no problems to repair all my gear, and since I didn't want to travel too far away, just spent the day upgrading my storage system with some new chests to keep all my junk. I then noticed I was short of the flints I needed to repair my sword, and it was easily collected down at the beach, though a few green beetles did have to get taken out for my own safety, even fighting them throughout the night until morning. Since I was still on the beach in the morning, I cut up some flint nodes, chopped down some foxtails before beginning my journey home, fighting off beetles, decapitating ants, and harvesting some poppies. Poppy after poppy got cut down as I wanted their seeds. I did finally make it home to repair my tools, and I also had to set up a tannery, only to come to the stark realization that my house is too small. So ripping out the entire back wall to extend the foundation, I set up my tannery loom and spindle, used the loom to turn my silk into silk thread, and made a recurve bow, deadly and accurate. I closed up the foundation with some basic walls and roofs, and set up a fancy, more comfortable bed. I mean, I seem to be stuck here for longer than planned, so may as well be comfortable. Now I really wanted to just get a better set of armor. Before hopping into bed to sleep through the night, and in the morning I thought the easiest armor I could get would be the stone armor from Kalev. So I axed all the stones nearby if I could pick them up, then got to Kalev and he made me a very nice set of stone armor. I thought it'd be nice to help him out by clearing out all the bull ants from his mine. At least with a fresh suit of armor this went pretty easily. So I was able to begin heading home knowing I had done at least one good deed today. Set up an apothecary table as I planned to make some potions and antidotes in preparation of fighting that giant spider from the swamp. I had to go grab some poisonous mushrooms for the antidote, boiled them up in my cauldron, then used the boiled mushrooms, some seed oil, and a poison gland I got from some of the spiders I had killed. Hopefully this gives me the edge I need versus the giant spider. So in preparation of heading towards the swamp, I had to sleep in my comfy new bed. Gear, weapons, potions, and food in hand, I began to make my way back towards the swamp, but I noticed on the map there was a lady I had not met yet. I really didn't want to be charging in underprepared, so I decided to head there first, fighting off the bees along the way when I spotted it. A small wooden house nestled into some honeycomb. This was Tristana. She is a glorified bee expert and someone who might just be able to make me my very own wingsuit. I did first do the normal thing and steal all her belongings, then asked her, "So, can you make me some bee wings?"
Of course I can. You're just gonna have to bring me the following.
Great. Silk. I'm going to definitely need to head to the swamp now. It was a long run, jumps and slide till I finally got to the edge of the swamp and slid down into it. There weren't any spiders nearby, so taking the opportunity to harvest the cocoons nearby for silk, but was soon spotted. Probably my fault though, since I kinda shot it with an arrow, but you know. It was the next morning as I was still running around the swamp, and this place really was infested. You'd think it was modeled after Australia or something, but the spiders had to die. I did set up a small outpost where I could sleep if needed, since I did not want to be here at night, and thankfully this area of the swamp was just wolf spiders, so at least we were past black widows. Never mind. So with a broken flint sword, I figured I'm not ready for this giant spider yet. I did at least have all the silk I needed, so began my journey home on day 24. And once I got there, I repaired up all my weapons and armor. Spun the silk into the textile patches I would need for the armor from Tristana, gathered up all the resources in my base, but was short of the heptile leather I needed. So traveled down to the beach. I did first spend the night in Scardy's encampment, and killing the 3 geckos I needed for their hide, tanned it into leather, and now with every resource I needed, adventured over to Tristana. I got everything you needed.
Fantastic. And here's your bee armor.
The power of flight. Well, gliding at least. This should be the upgrade I needed to be able to take on the spider. So headed home and slept for the night. I made up a bunch of fire arrows in the morning. Now I felt ready. Gliding through the sky as I made my way towards the swamp when a wasp swarm tried to stop me, but I just outflew them and made my way through the swamp, dodging spider after spider. Finally arrived outside the cave and snuck my way in. That spider is massive. So I drank my antidote, pulled back my bowstring and fired the shot. dodging and weaving as I learned the attacks of the spider.
Come on, you big spider. You 8-legged freak. Eat my sword. Power swing. Okay. We got this. Oh, that hurt so much. Oh, gotta be very careful. Stamina. No. Pop a healing brew. Move. Roll. Okay, almost dead. Power swing. Get strong damage and slam it. Oi! Get wrecked. Venus spider eye.
Bam!
Ooh.
Down goes the spider. I picked up its eye to return it to Lysandra as proof. With it being night, I carefully made my way back to Lysandra's lair. Hey Lysandra, I got your spider eye. Please take it. It's messing up my bag.
Yeah, put it down over there. I see.
See what?
The spider eye, it's cloudy and bloodshot. I fear the spider may have been poisoned. My friend Tuhala might know something, but she's missing for a while. Go chat to Nock. He's been struggling with a black hornet. Maybe these events could be related?
Alright. Don't like the sounds of that black hornet.
Here's a recipe for a spider treat. You deserve at least a small reward for killing that spider.
Thanks. I headed out of the lair late in the night, where I was able to sleep in my cabin for the night. Then making my way up and out of the swamp, I did get slowed by some wasps when I noticed what looked to be a chain link fence. So walking around it when I spotted a huge hornet. This might be out of my comfort zone, but I pushed forward, drawing my bow and fired. Firing shot after shot, was able to kill it. This place might be nastier than I expect. Gave me some heavy chitin which I'd be able to use to make a heavy bow, so I continued onwards to then spot 2 cockroaches in the distance. I began to pepper them with arrows, and these things were damn tanky, but I eventually killed it. I was not prepared to be here, but I could not help myself as I advanced onwards, killing off cockroaches and hornets. When I dropped down into this crack in the flooring and found some scrap metal, I was able to mine up with my pickaxe. Maybe I can use this to make some tools. I began to make my way up and out of the crevice, though I had to kill some grey flies trying to mess with me, only for clouds to form overhead. A storm was approaching and I had to run. I was so far from camp, running, jumping, gliding and swinging. The race to get home was on. The storm broke as a cold began to engulf me. It was a race against time and I was losing. I was so lucky that the storm did not stay for long though, as if it had been overhead for just a few seconds longer, I certainly would have died. So for a safe recovery, I just jumped up my mushrooms to my house, using the metal I had gathered as I was able to fasten a nail to some wood and make a spike pickaxe, so I could mine some harder resources. I was short of some seeds for more seed oil, so gliding off in the early morning to harvest up the rye plants, then got home where I crushed the seeds into oil and made myself a chitin spear and a chitin bow. These should be fun to use. I really wanted some stronger melee weapons, so I need to find a way to smelt this metal into a proper sword. Began to adventure out into the world to areas I had not seen before, and I saw a garden bench which I headed towards when a wasp queen ambushed me.
Oh, you're a queen.
It was a rough fight, but diving and fighting was able to bring down the queen.
Get wrecked.
With it getting so dark, I set up a small shelter where I spent the night. And it was day 28 and I tried to glide into the Weber in order to have a braai, but it was just too tall for me. I was, however, able to glide over to another bench which had a radio on it.
I wonder if anything's on the radio.
50-50, you should all subscribe to Natural Causes. 50-50.
Nothing good, I guess. Oh well. Weird radio. Sounds pretty accurate though. Moving on, I flew down to a nearby great tree where I was able to ask the gnome to move my tree encampment here. So it seems these gnomes have magical powers and are able to move your entire base that you build in these trees. I may need to look into this more. So I headed up the tree to use as a hard point to glide all the way down to the beach I hadn't explored yet. there was a dragonfly, which I easily killed, as well as just a mass of hornets around. This place seemed pretty deadly, but I just ignored everything and pushed on when I came across a larger grasshopper known as a lubber. It was much more powerful than the grasshoppers I knew, but I managed to kill it. And that's when I spotted some clumps of clay stuck to a rock that I was able to mine. Awesome! Hopefully I can process this into something usable. It was best though for now to just get out of here, as if more than one insect ever spots me, I would get shredded. So jumped off a high root and glided down and out to head home. I was walking the top of the grand tree and I decided it's time. It's time I move and build a proper base. So I headed out to harvest up a mass of moth plants for wood and fiber to set up a variety of chests so I could begin carrying everything up to the very top of the tree. It took multiple days to carry everything up. Then in the morning of day 35, construction began. Laying out the floor plan for a small yet spacious house and plotting down all of the walls, doors and roofs. With the house frame mostly done, I moved in all of the required structures to the workshop, but there was one structure I could not afford yet, and that was the windmill. So I needed silk to make the sails, ran to the top of the branches and jumped off the highest branch to glide all the way down. As I searched for an area with some of those cocoons to harvest, I instead spotted a toad nearby that I began to snipe with my fancy new chitin bow. It took many shots but finally brought down the froge and was collecting my spoils when I got jumped by a black widow. Its mistake was short-lived. With the area clear, I was able to harvest up the cocoons nearby, and I did make a small shelter to spend the night, then gathered even more cocoons for the silk to the point of breaking my shears. And once I got home, was able to spin it into thread and build my very own windmill. I can now combine the clay and bug limbs to make clay mortar, which I can use to make a stone oven and a furnace. I was just going to need a lot more resources in order to build them. Clay and heavy chitin being the rarest items I need to find. So I began to glide all the way back to where I originally found the clay, as there I could also kill the hornets in the area for the heavy chitin. This was going to be a dangerous mission, so climbing to the very top of the largest tree near the beach, I figured if I'm going to get out of this life, I was going to have to play it smart. And glided down onto one of the trees in the area, before landing on a wall high up above all the creepy crawlies. There were many small bits of clay I was able to collect, with thankfully the only thing spotting me being a bullet. So with light fading, I built a hut to sleep through the night. The crazy clay collection continued until I spotted a lone hornet I was able to kill for its heavy chitin. Though they do really hurt. It was at least something I knew I could kill fairly competently, but then as I was mining more clay, a storm rolled overhead, so I built a small cabin to take refuge for the night. Then in the morning, as I was fighting a hornet, I got ambushed by a stag beetle.
Whoa, 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 I did not sign up for this.
That hurt. But I need to kill one of those stag beetles, so began to fight it, but quickly got overwhelmed and got the heck out of there. Now I was on the run, and eventually got out of the woods, only to come across a small wooden hut in the watery mangrove, so I cautiously headed in. This was Tuhala, the friend that Lysandra the spider lady had told me about. She let me know of a spider matriarch that lies deep in the forest, and she promised to teach me some secret techniques if I managed to kill it and bring her the fang. So I promised to do so and headed out of her mangroves. In order to make the stone oven, I needed to make up some stone bricks. I just was short of the flint I needed for that, so the morning was spent harvesting as much flint as my pickaxe would give me. Once home, I combined the flint and stone to make bricks and built a stone oven. I can use this oven to make better foods and tastier ones at that. Though a diet of purely ant skewers had been working out so far, so it was a busy day, so I decided to just head to bed. Really wanted to upgrade my weapon, so I just had to get myself a furnace. I just was short of one important resource: heavy chitin. Cockroach dead, I spent some time harvesting bits of scrap metal when I accidentally stumbled upon Nock's house. They let me know of a black hornet that had been harassing the area, as well as told me of a smith known as Myrmic. So I stole her scrap metal and left the house, not interested in helping right away, as I wanted better gear. Since even this basic hornet was an issue to fight, I mined up all the scrap and flint. However, while fighting some cockroaches, a storm started to appear overhead, so I just hung out with Nock while it passed. With the sun rising to signal day 40, I finished off the cockroaches from earlier for their chitin, so I could head home, built my forge, cooked up wood into charcoal so I could smelt my iron shards into ingots, and with my first few ingots I did make a scrying pool, which allows you to change your appearance, something I probably need for real life. In the morning I built a forge where I could smith my ingots into actual weapons, but I was going to need a lot more resources. I guess I needed to go back to that cockroach and hornet area, but I will need more supplies. I made up some caramelized bee heads by cooking them to be coated in a sweet honey glaze. Then in the morning I climbed up to the top of the branches to begin gliding towards the cockroach infested pavements. But I noticed a small house with a guitar on it. This must be Myrmic's house. So after running up like 5 flights of stairs, he let me know of 2 armor sets he could create. A bone set and a formic set. These will be necessary to fight the black hornet that I haven't even seen yet. The armor will have to wait, so I set out to begin taking down the roaches, though with night falling and another roach dead, I had to retreat, to set up my standard shelter that I normally use as a main base to sleep through the night. The morning I then spent all my time harvesting scrap, killing roaches, harvesting more scrap, when I spotted the entrance to a drain. So stepping forward to get a closer look only to fall, and now I was stuck. I did not want to be here. Guess only way to go now, and glide it down the sewer. I need to find the quickest and easiest way out of here. I cautiously began to move through the pipes where I did have to face off against a black widow, and then some grey flies which did almost kill me. Thankfully, managed to escape out of the pipes without much more issues, and I will come back here at a later stage once I have better stuff. I killed another hornet on my way out of the cave, and just in time too as the storm was starting to arrive. Once I got home, I smelted up the ingots I had gathered before crafting myself an iron scythe and iron hammer. These could be just the weapons I need to defeat the black hornet. I ground up some strawberries and seed oil to make some stamina tonic, then spent some time organizing my storages before heading to bed. I had some leftover iron, so used that to make myself an iron pickaxe, as I was going to be needing to do a ton of resource gathering in order to make myself some better armor. I also was going to be needing tons of honey for bandages and my caramelized bee heads, even if it did involve fighting at least a dozen bees at once to fuel my new dietary choices. Spent a couple days at home simply gathering resources, hunting insects, when on day 50 as I was out looking for scrap metal I walked straight into the black hornet. I immediately turned and made a break for it, managing to get to a small gap in the fence where the hornet got stuck so I could escape.
I'm not ready for you. You stay back.
I have to get myself some stronger armor to fight that thing, but I need to get a closer look. I'd seen it to fly to the top of this jumble of crates, so I walked up the stop sign and there it was. The black hornet. I was already under fire just by some grey flies, so I snuck closer then and spotted me. I turned and ran, jumped off the edge in order to glide away. I felt defeated. I was going to need to be much stronger. Much stronger. It was day 58 as I was working at my base and I saw a spider head in my chest which reminded me of Tuhala and how she had told me about a spider matriarch, which she needed the fang from. If I killed it, she'd teach me some very powerful recipes and potentially even craft me some armor. This could be good. So I glided over tree to tree, arriving at what was clearly the spider's lair. It did not like that I was here and chased me out. So backing off, I made sure to drink my poison resistance and stamina potions and glided in.
Come on, big itsy bitsy. Ooh, you hurt actually a lot.
I was in big trouble as a snowstorm rolled in, so I began to freeze and had to back out of the fight. I'll be back for you yet, itsy bitsy. I spent the harsh days of winter hiding out at my bases. With my regal armor, I quickly began to freeze every time I left my tree. A couple days had passed since winter when I decided to start best working towards gathering the materials I would need for Mimric to craft me the bone armor set. Spending multiple days gathering dozens of scrap metal, fighting multiple roaches for heavy chitin. Then day 75 was spent smelting all of it into ingots and swooping off to Myrmic where he crafted me a full set of bone armor. It looked epic. It's finally time for a rematch as I slowly descended at the entrance to the matriarch's lair. I advanced forward, scythe in hand, only to realize I hadn't drunk my potions as a matriarch attacked. Going down, itsy bitsy. Come on, get wrecked, and dodge, 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 dodge. Oh boy, that could be bad. Dodge. I messed it up. Come on, itsy bitsy. And I keep getting hit by that attack. And wrecked. With the matriarch dead, I knew Tihala would want this fang fresh as possible, so I climbed the nearest tree to glide down into the mangroves. Boy, was I glad I'd taken that poison resistant potion, as it was still coursing through my blood when I arrived at Tihala's home. Showing her the fang, she was only slightly less grumpy than usual, but a deal was a deal as she taught me how to make greater health potions. She also offered to make me some healer's armor, which was very expensive, requiring bark, fiber, textile patches, refined wood, blood sacks, and greater health elixirs. But it might just be necessary for some creatures I find later on. So I made my way home in order to rest up, as having killed that matriarch made me feel a lot more comfortable in my fighting. I really felt like I was becoming a true small folk, but I knew deep down I still had to unlock the apothecary's chest in hopes it will hold the secret to returning to my regular size. Once I had fully re-equipped my gear and supplies, I flew down to the sidewalk. Now while it was still feeling chilly out, I knew once I started fighting that my blood would begin to pump and warm me up. So I began to fight the roaches and hornets littering the area in preparation, and then made my way up the road sign. I had to deal with its greyfly minions guarding the entrance before equipping my bone armor and charging in. Let's go, you big bee. I began to dodge, dip and dive, making sure to avoid as many attacks as I could, as its poison was deadly. Swing after swing with the hammer, roll after roll to dodge the damage. Come on, die you stinking overgrown fly. Let's go. Oh, you missed that one. Come on, you can do it, whoa. Ha! Too slow, and squish, down goes the overgrown mosquito. I collected its sapphire wing as I needed this to prove to Nock it was dead. She had also mentioned something about using it for a wingsuit. Arriving at Nock's house, she told me how she had spotted an enormous king stag beetle with a jewel chained around its thorax. This has to be the clover key. She also offered to make me the ironwing armor if I brought her the resources for it, so that meant killing yet more roaches for the heavy chitin. I discovered in the morning that throughout the storms my forge and furnace got destroyed, so I needed to replace them in order to craft the resources I needed for the ironwing armor from Nock. So I flew down to the Greylands to farm more heavy chitin, built my new furnace in the morning of day 87 to smelt the ingots I needed, collected the rest of the resources, then headed over to Nock and she made me my very own set of iron wing armor. The premium armor of all small folk. With it being winter, I did not want to go seek down the king stag beetle, so I spent my days collecting strawberries and other ingredients to make health and stamina elixirs. I also wanted to upgrade my bow, so worked on gathering everything I need to make a compound bow. On the tail end of winter, I was making my way towards the beach, and wouldn't you know it, a new spider had already become the new matriarch. Waking up on day 95, I needed some lizard claws in order to finish the compound bow, so with my wings carrying me through the sky, overlooking the castle forest, it felt good. I was so lost at the start of this adventure, but I had been able to truly help the small folk of this land. I spotted a huge cave that I can only assume is a king stag beetle's lair, so I chose to investigate and glided down into it. The beetle was massive. I definitely will need to be as prepared as possible to defeat this beast. I fought and killed the nearby lizards for their claws, even getting some help from a hornet fighting one as well. Killed a few stag beetles just as practice for the king stag fight while I was already out here, though with the storm rolling in I simply headed home to wait it out. Where I crafted up my compound bow, I was ready. One final sleep of what I hoped would be my last day as a small folk. This world had been truly beautiful. I may have been forced into it by Wukong in a story not yet told. It's a journey that I'll remember forever though, and jumped off my great tree for the final time. I snuck my way past all of the stag beetles to get to the entrance of the king stag beetle's lair. This is it. You have something I want, and I'm here to take it. The fight began as I dodged its giant pincers, rolling, dodging and weaving. Calm down. I just want that clover key. Give it here and we can be friends. Come on, let's be friends. Let's be friends. Oh, you hurt. You hurt. I need my stamina. Oh, you got so much health. Oh, okay, this is not good. I needed that clover key. My scythe wasn't very effective, so I pulled out my hammer as storm clouds started rolling in. You're a beetle, you should take more damage from hammers, right? Oh yeah, that's much more effective. Fighting desperately amongst the rolling thunder. Double hit. Oh, big hit. Oh, 115. Get wrecked, son. I missed. Oh, he took that opportunity. Oh, boy. Hello. Hi. Come on, man. You want to go? Let's go. Let's dance, pretty boy. You overgrown gnat. Not like like a GN80. Not like a natural causes gnat. Both of us. One final smack of the hammer, killing the beetle. Get wrecked. Ancient clover seal. It was a long journey to arrive back at the elder's cabin, sharing with him my full story of how I got the clover key. So with his permission, I opened the apothecary's chest, and inside it there was a scroll. A scroll that contained a story. A story that will be told another day. Thank you for watching and subscribe. The Elixir of Life.